Good morning and welcome to LU Life Church, your global spiritual community portal. I'm your host, the Rev Dr Palmer. Our topic today, your purpose versus your happiness. Today's topic takes us on up a notch. It begs us to introspect but also retrospect, to look in and to look again. Such is growing and moving forward and upwards even. Looking again gives opportunity to discover as well as to recover. I like this about life, always bringing us to the brink for fresh possibilities. Like today's statement, fresh thoughts, life words. The reference text I will be using as a platform, you might say, as our foundational text, two foundational texts today. And the first I'll look at is Psalm, the book of Psalm, written by a king. Uh, so it's an ancient text. Psalm chapter 34 and the 8th verse of that psalm. Very interesting. It's entitled, Those Who Trust in God, Life, Are Happy. It says, Happy is the person who trusts in the Lord, who trust in God. The second foundational text, as I said, these are just reference texts, is taken from a prophet long, long ago, Prophet Jeremiah, chapter 17, 7 and 8. And that is a very, very interesting. It says here, happy is the person who trusts in the Lord God, life, whose confidence is in life or God. He, such a person, will be like a tree that is planted by water, whose root is firmly in the stream. It, such a person does not fear, like the plant who is by the water. Plant does not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bring forth fruit. Sounds all good and lovely. What does that mean for you and I today for looking at our purpose and our happiness? You see, for most, happiness is our chief aim and pursuit in life. Many die for lack of it, or even while they're still breathing, while there are others with so much wealth at their fingertips, and yet these live in poverty of wanting and yearning for real happiness. I, for one, as you know, if you've been listening to my segment, do talk of happiness a lot. But and there's nothing absolutely wrong about this, you know? It has to have, though, a strong resolve as to what is the purpose. What our real purpose is the real flex. By this I mean, what is the purpose behind your joy or for your joy? And you might say, my purpose is to be happy and content. So many people tell me this. My purpose is to be happy and content in life. Here, many remain sad and unfulfilled. Let's look at our text for insight. An ancient text, but yet still it has locked inside of it mind food, or I call that soul food. It says, happy or blessed is that person who trusts in the Lord. So you might say, the Lord, yeah, the great law of the universe. When I say that, I absolutely quote this from my teacher, mentor, amazing um, soul, Reverend Dr. Beckwith. And, he really helped me to understand, you know, when I say the Lord, I'm talking about the great law of the universe, in which itself the Lord is goodness, goodness in essence, goodness which is right always. I love that. You got to write that down. Right is always right. It stands to reason, doesn't it? I mean, it makes sense, but some you don't think about it like that. But right is always right. And the great law of the universe, the Lord, that's what it is. It's good. In essence, it's right always. So, the chief aim, the person whose chief aim is to trust that right is on their side, that right will guide them in the right way at all times to make the best decision. Ah, stop a minute. For a person to actually believe that, they would have had to first believe and trust that right exists. So, just having an inkling that right is without any shadow of failure or lack or any implication of fault. That is what right really is. No shadow of failure or lack or implication of fault. Right is right. And right is what we mean when we say the great law of the universe. Yeah? The Lord. So, right, it says here, if we look at the text, it says, blessed or happy is the person who trusts in that which is right and good and pleasant at all times. Oh my God, and such will be the experience, like a plant that is planted by water that sends out roots in the stream. You see, the plant is by the water means the person is implicitly trusting in the law of the universe, the law of your life, which is goodness, which is the Lord, which is God inside you. Man, that is amazing. That's fantastic. You see, right stands on its own. RIGHT is more than letters, more than just saying a basic word. It is alive. It is God. It is life itself. It's right. Stands on its own. Right owns the world, even though it seems that men, people are continually in search of trying to make this world a better place that is fit and right. And look at the mess that has brought us to today, where one's happiness is set before one's purpose, that becomes lopsided. Check out what and where you have placed your happiness. Is it before your purpose? When, as our foundational text is giving us some insight and suggestion, is that the person, happy person, yes, happiness, but their purpose, what was the purpose? Was to trust in the Lord, the great law of the universe, to have confidence in right, that right will lead and guide. That is the happiness. Hmm. Okay. So are you with me? Right stands on its own. Did I say that? Yes. You see the mess we're in today because we have had it the other way around, where one's happiness is set before one's purpose. What did I say it is? A bit lopsided. Yes, there is a sense of elation when all the parts of a rocket is secure that is set to launch a man into orbit. Yeah. The happiness is not that the man is being launched, is that all the parts of the rocket, on the rocket, is in place. Can you see that? Do you get that? Should I say that again? Okay. There's a sense of elation when all the parts of the rocket that is set to launch is in place. When it's set, everything is in place, set to launch that man into orbit. That's where the joy comes. That's where the happiness is knowing that the parts are secure. So much like our text says, when we put our trust in the Lord, in God, in the great law of the universe, that which is right, good, and pleasant, that is our trust, then happiness comes forth. Okay, let's take another example, which is a bit more easier to understand. A baby about to take its first step. You might not have been there for your own first step where you were, but you weren't in the realization of it. But if you've had a child or have seen other children, even watch it on TV or something, if you haven't had your personal experience, you know what I'm talking about. When a child is about to take its first step, what is the joy? The joy doesn't come. Yes, there is an expectation, isn't it? When you think, that's right, okay, and you see the baby about to put the first foot forward, there's such an elation because the purpose was what? Was in the foot, one foot going forward, one foot firmly on the ground behind, which we call what? Stepping off, and then comes the elation. So the purpose first was to put one foot forward, and as you raise one up in the air, the other needs to be firmly on the ground, or else the child will fall. When this happens, oh, there is so much joy. And this is what it takes: purpose before happiness. You see, happiness is locked inside your purpose. So we need to find and know your purpose, and you unlock the door for your happiness. Our purpose, somebody say, what is my purpose? Is to realize the grandeur of your existence, to be your greatness, to be you, to be your greatness, the genius you are, made of invincible stuff. And knowing this, I mean, really knowing this, believing this, knowing this, comes the joy of being. Many people say things. It's amazing how many people will say a quote, send off a quote, do an affirmation. 2 minutes later, I mean, you think, oh, did they just write that affirmation? The words, they don't understand it. So it's knowing our purpose. Okay, and your purpose is to realize your grandeur of your existence, your greatness that you are inside, because the life that lives you, well, is the life of God. The life that lives you is good and right and pleasant. That is why you find the scientists would be putting those screws or whatever, not just a little baby screw, but putting things together to get the rocket right, and all those technicians working, because the back of their mind, they are knowing that right is leading them. They might not call it God, they might not call it the great law of the universe, but there is something propelling them to get it right. So they test and test and test. They're getting it right. And you have that power of right and good within you. That is what breathes you. And sometimes we trust to other things, we trust to ourselves, we trust the chance, but there is a power in knowing. And so many ask the question, then, and questions rise up about suffering and dying, and but when you know your purpose and realize that within this thing called life, there is really no death there. Your purpose is locked in there, so it becomes about living, and you come about celebrating the life that was, the life that is, and the life to come. And so there is an elation when your best attention is given to your purpose. And this becomes, in each moment, this becomes your joy and mine. And so, there are questions. Yes, I understand, like I'm short on funds and I'm facing painful situation, my purpose is to know that right is on my side, and that right owns both the present and the future, because each tomorrow is a today, and right is on my side today, and right is good. Right is always good. Listen, you got to write that down. Right is always good. Right is on my side. And this is what makes me happy. This is what makes you happy. Though I'm aware also that, in what people would call the reality, which really is the illusion, there is pain and there is lack, and so on. But is this about my happiness? What is my purpose? Is my purpose to look at those things that are not my purpose, or to look at those things that are my purpose? My purpose is to realize and trust life. My purpose is not to trust death, is not to trust dying. is not to trust lack or want. It's not to trust pain or sorrow. It is not to trust injustice or injustice. My purpose is that life is the way forward and upward. And my trust is in justice. My trust is in fairness. Why? Because that trust, justice, and fairness is right. My joy is to trust life, not death and dying, not lack or want. Why? Because goodness and right is life. And I'm going to trust that. That is my purpose. That is our purpose. And that purpose will take us forward and upward. Oh, yes, my dear. Those who do not trust this purpose will find that they are inflicting pain, hurting themselves, and hurting others too. This is why there is so much injustice and wickedness in the media for us to watch and sorrow over. How do we live happy lives? I go to our second text, which is found in Psalm 34 and verse 8. It says, happy is that person who trusts in the law of right and good. Just believing that good undergirds you in time of sorrow, in time of lack, in time of need. Just come into that realization that your purpose is to trust in right, is to trust in good. And that usher forth an amount of happiness, an amount of joy that causes you to soar, yeah, to soar in heights above and over the sorrow. So these are simple suggestions for us to put our trust in God, to put our trust in the goodness of life. We call God the power behind your breath that breathes you. This you have been listening to the Reverend Dr. Palmer. This is LU Life Church, your global spiritual community portal. Why not pass this on to someone else? Please pass this on. If you would like to leave a love gift, you can do so by going in the description box below. You will find their PayPal link, or you can go directly to the PayPal website and make your love gift out to lulifechurch at gmail.com. Leave us a prayer request in the comment box below, or you can send it directly to lulifechurch at gmail.com. Thank you for listening. I send you love. I send you peace. Bless you.